What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man 2, or should I say Insomniac's Spider-Man 2. Now, me and Jan are planning on doing another episode of the Deadhead Podcast, episode 36, where we'll talk about story spoilers and everything in between. So I don't think I'm really going to go too far in spoiler territory. However, there might be some gameplay on the screen here of some, spoiler type stuff, some in-game materials, some suits. So if you don't want to see any of that shit, maybe might not be best to click off this video and come back to it later. But I'm overall going to keep things pretty tame over here, and we'll talk more about it in our Deadhead Podcast episode that actually supposed to premiere this weekend. As we're recording this video, this weekend, Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we'll have more details on that as we get closer to that day. Anyway, so with that being said, let's talk about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 because I've been wanting to talk about it, man. So unlike most people, it took me longer than 2 days to beat this game. um, I don't like. Maybe one of you guys can really explain it to me. I don't know why, and I don't know how. People, I don't know how. I don't know why. What's the lyrics of that Linkin Park song? One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. That's it. I don't know why so many people rush through games. I don't understand it. I get it to a certain degree. Like I think I've seen somebody say that they complete games so that it doesn't get spoiled, right? Which is honestly understandable because in today's day of age, especially with how the internet is and how quickly everybody gets information, things can get spoiled for you. But I was really trying not to beat this game that quick. Honestly, I beat this game like 2 days ago. I platinumed it, and I felt like that was really quick because the game came out the 20th, and so I beat it on like the 27th or 28th. So what I'm saying is that even though I didn't want to beat it that fast, I still beat it pretty fast, but not as fast as other people. Anyway, with that being said, so I got some thoughts on it. I really wanted to present in this video. Hopefully you haven't left the video yet because we will be talking about Spider-Man 2. So my initial thoughts on Spider-Man 2, just right off rip, I think this is a good game. This is what I've been saying really before this game came out, and reason why my hype wasn't really like that compared to other people. I know everybody was like super excited for this game before it released. Um, I wasn't too hyped for it because I knew what I was going to get. I knew I was going to get a good experience. I knew I was going to have a fun time playing as Spider-Man and being in this world that Insomniac has created. Their version of New York, I love it. It looks wonderful, and it looks the best it's ever been in this game. The traversal in this game is the best it's ever been. The combat is the best it's ever been. Everything is great except for the story, which is a huge reason as to why we play these types of games, right? We want to see these stories. We want to see Spider-Man in different situations. We want to see trials and tribulations of being Spider-Man because there's a lot of them, and it's a big responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility, like Uncle Ben once said. And Spider-Man's code, and that's what he lives by. And nothing more true to that than here. So, yeah, I think this game, honestly, to summarize it, I think this game is better in almost every way from the original Spider-Man 2018. By the way, if I say Halloween 2018, I apologize. I just got a really bad issue with doing that. But I think it's better in every way to the precursor of this game and Miles Morales. But I think the story department is very, very lacking in this game, and that's one of the reasons why I wasn't really as into it. I was definitely, I wouldn't say I was immersed, but I guess like I just had a good time playing as Spider-Man. This feels like a Spider-Man Spider-Man game, and I think for that alone, it does well. I think there's a lot of things in this game that could have been better, and as far as the runtime goes, I know that's like a big thing. People were complaining it's too short. Yeah, I would agree that I think it's a bit too short, but I think at the same time, I think in today's day of age, right, when you have all these games that just have clutter galore, and not to say these games that do have all this quote unquote clutter are bad games, but it's just in today's gaming industry that seemed to be the thing that was leading it was these huge games that just want to keep you invested, want to try to keep you invested for several hours. But the thing is, investment comes through quality, not quantity. And a lot of these companies for a while, they're Ubisoft, um, I can't think of the top of my head, but the developer for Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, like these developers, they want to keep you in the game as long as possible, but they're willing to make you do mundane and boring ass shit to keep you entertained. And after a while, it stops being entertaining and it becomes irritating because you're just like, man, I just want to finish this game and I want to beat it, but it's like it's so grindy. Um, But anyway, that's not again. I like both of those games. I really love Ubisoft. At the end of the day, I've been an Ubisoft cuck for years. And I like Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn. Those are great games. I mean, there might not always be for me, but I can see the greatness. So um, but yeah, like this game again, like what I said before, and if you guys have been around the channel, or if you're new here, go check out the old videos. I've said the same thing every time. This game is quality for sure. Um, I think again, like I mentioned before, I think in every way this is better than the original, except for the story. The combat's never felt better. I think that has a lot to do with the haptics in the controller and the DualSense controller. I know some people don't really care about that. I know it sounds like a very gimmicky thing, but I have to say, man, I think a lot of the combat and how good it felt came down to the controller. This feels like Spider-Man actually has weight behind his punches. You got this guy who's, you know, super strong. We forget how strong Spider-Man is. And hear these shots land, they sound like they hurt. And that's something we got from the Batman Arkham games. When Batman would fight, man, it was like it was lethal. Yeah, he doesn't kill, but he makes you wish you were dead by the time he was done with you. In this game, maybe the brutality still isn't quite there as much, but man, it has way more punch here. No pun intended. There's a lot of weight to these strikes and to the special abilities you can do. Everything just feels good. The gadget system, I really love the gadget system. And I'm gonna talk about the combat quite a bit because I think the combat is honestly my favorite part of the game, and you do a lot of it. But I never once got bored. I was always excited to see, okay, how am I gonna take down this next group of enemies? I always thought that was super fun. Um, but using the gadgets in this game felt less and less like a nuisance, and it felt less and less like a regular traditional weapon wheel that we've seen in so many other games. This felt more um, real time. It felt like you're more in the action. I don't have to slow down time and take myself out the action to switch to my next gadget. Right. I like how everything's just on just one interface. You unlock the tools you want to use. You have them on one screen, and then you hit R1 triangle, R1 square, R1 circle, R1 X or cross, and you get to use a different gadget. I think that's a very cool system, and I hope that when we get Spider-Man 3, they keep that. I think that's a really good system to have. The parry system is a little weird though, and I'm gonna be honest with you. If they don't put this back in Spider-Man 3, I'm not really gonna have an issue with it. I think the parry is kind of useless. There's a couple enemies like late game, without spoiling it away. There's a couple enemies late game that I think it works very well with. Matter of fact, there's a fight with this is in the trailer, by the way. But if you don't want to hear this, spoiler warning. But you do fight the lizard in this game, and that fight you desperately need the parry. Like, cause I was having a real hard. I think I died to that bastard like more times than I'd like to admit. And I'm playing this on not normal, but I'm playing it on the next mode up. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm playing on the hardest difficulty before you unlock, the absolute hardest difficulty in the game. And I died a lot in that boss fight. Matter of fact, I died a lot in this game. And that was one thing I was really gonna say and really segue into it is I feel like the difficulty of this game. Now, I can't speak for normal mode, so I'd like to hear what you guys think down below. But and there's nothing wrong with playing on normal, by the way. There's a lot of people like to be like, man, you're just a bunch of fucking noobs, like playing on easy mode. No, I'm not playing on easy. I'm playing on normal. There's nothing wrong with playing on normal. How I felt. I feel like I'm pretty good at Spider-Man games. I'm pretty good at this combat style that I felt like I could do it at the hardest difficulty, and I can do it. But I died a lot. I'm not even gonna front, man. Either I'm bad at video games or this game's got a pretty decent difficulty setup here. And like I said, I think that makes it challenging and it makes it fun and makes you attack things in a different way. And it made me better. And honestly, by the end of the game, I feel like I was mopping the floor with everybody. I just felt like I got better and better to the point where, okay, not just spamming all my gadgets at one time, not just spamming my symbiote abilities, whatever. And I think that's what it kind of adds a little bit. I wouldn't say like full on strategy, but it makes you a bit better in a sense that you got to think on your feet on, okay, what move do I want to do next? And I think having the difficulty up really, really helps with that. But the difficulty is higher. But I also got to say, I feel like I've been talking this game up quite a bit. Now I'm gonna have to go into some things that are trash. I think the AI is not this game. The AI is not good in this game. It's just not. Sometimes they'll be spot on. Like you'll be fighting a bunch of dudes. They're all swinging at you at one time, and it's like, holy shit, this is getting kind of tough. And then there'll be times where I'll have people like aiming the other direction and they know I'm right there, and I just come up behind them, sneak attack. It's just it looks really bad. Like I had one, and I wish I had the recording here, but I had one where I was like swinging right at this guy, and he had his gun aimed right at me. He turned the other way, ran the opposite direction, and tried to take cover instead of just shooting at me. I guess he was trying to retreat, I suppose. But it just looked really awkward. It looked really awkward. He wasn't saying much. He was kind of running in place for a little while, and yeah, the AI is really broken in this game. At times, and it also brings me to bugs, man. This game has actually a bit more bugs than I would have expected from Insomniac, man. It's nothing crazy. I've only had one. I had one instance where I had to close the game out and go back into it, and that was when I think it was the Coney Island section when you're with Harry and MJ. Sorry, I know this is a little spoilery, but not really. They show that again. They show this in the trailer. But you go to Coney Island, and there's like a park bench or something, and I hit triangle to go sit in it. Well, I went to sit in the bench, and I sat there all right. I couldn't get up. So I had to close out the game and go back into it just so he'll get up. It would not let me get up. I was trying everything. I sat there for like 5 minutes. And that was very irritating. Definitely a couple graphical glitches. I'm sure I got a picture. I might even put the picture up here where like I'm standing on this building and you see these like lights up, like light fixtures, and they're like hanging from the sky. Like there's no buildings or anything. It's just these light fixtures up in the sky. I know Jan, co-host of Deadhead Podcast, he sent me a video of him swinging through the city as a little cube. Which I think as they're recording this video, they sent out a patch to fix that. But yeah, a little bit of a glitchy, nothing bad, but like a little bit of a glitchy mess that I wish it wasn't. I wish it was polished a bit more. But yeah, I think all in all, man, I really like this here. I love Miles's upgraded Venom abilities, and the symbiote suit abilities in Spider-Man 2 are really, really fun to use. They're not like the most awesome feeling things of all time. There's a couple moves you do that's like, oh shit, I feel powerful. The other ones don't have as much weight, I feel like, but I think all in all, man, it's the additions they added to gameplay I think are really, really, really good. I just wish the story was a bit better. The side content is decent. I think it's a lot better than the first one. The first one was mostly you just run around doing random shit. And that goes for the platinum as well. Like you had to do like all these different crimes, and you have to do these certain ones so you can get the achievement. It is a lot of shit, but none of that stuff is here, which is it's kind of neither here nor there. How you feel about that? But the side quests are decent. They had a couple good ones. I had one in particular that definitely almost got me a little bit. It was not nothing like super sad, but it was a good little moment for Spider-Man and this random civilian sitting at a park, and and it had like one or two more like that. But other than that, everything else was just kind of It was okay. The web gliding, I thought that was awesome. The web wings. I seen some people complaining about that. Listen, it's completely optional. Yeah, there's a couple missions where it requires you to use it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it added a different level of gameplay. I love gliding over the city, and it never really ever made me feel like I wasn't Spider-Man. Like it was like, oh well, it's I think SkillUp's review said something about this game has an identity crisis when it comes to the web wings. I think that's bullshit. I don't think that's true. Yes, if that's all you're using, yeah, I would say so, but I never once was I always using the gliding. I was most of the time swinging, and I only glided when I need to really get to another district that was across the area, the body of water right there. Like when you had the bridge, there's a couple islands where you had to go across a bridge to get to that other part of New York. That's the only real time I ever used it. And then when I'm high enough and I'm gliding over the buildings, that shit's awesome, and the graphics are so good that I'm fine with it. Visually, it looks so stunning that. Yeah, I think it was a treat to do that. So anyway, look, I could probably go on and on about it. I really just want to give my thoughts about it after completing the game. I platinumed it. I'm going to give more of my thoughts into this week's show of the Deadhead Podcast. So definitely come back and check us out so we get into a little bit more spoilers and things of that nature. But what are your thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man 2? Do you love it? Do you hate it? How do you compare it to 2018 and Miles Morales? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it. I think this game, I've seen a bit more of dividing the fan base with this game. There's a lot of people that love it, but I'm seeing a lot of people too that are saying this is a disappointment and all that stuff. I don't know if it's a disappointment. I think more of the fact of it, this just feels like a smaller game. Maybe not in scale, But as far as just the game in general, it just feels like a smaller game. But there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, I pick quality over quantity. This game gave me almost 30 hours of a good time, and I can honestly say I enjoyed myself. Is it memorable? Not really. That sounds like a bad thing. I don't think it has to be. We've seen Spider-Man so much throughout the years. Look, I'm a '90s baby. You know, I've been a Spider-Man fan since I could walk. There's not too many stories that you can do at this point that's gonna go, holy shit, like that wowed me. You know what I mean? The Spider-Man universe. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we want to see him test it. We want to see darker moments. You know, we want to see that kind of storytelling, but it's only but so much you can really do with it when we've seen this a bunch of times. And that was one of my fears with this game. I mentioned in last week's episode of the podcast that I didn't really. It's not that I don't like Venom. It's just we've seen Venom so much that I'm actually fine if Spider-Man has a different things going on. One reason I love Across the Spider-Verse so much is that you get to see the Spot, a whole complete different villain. I feel like Venom's been done so much that I don't know. It takes away from like the essence of the character, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I'm probably rambling here. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a while since I've last uploaded. I thank you guys for checking us out. Like this video, sub to the channel if you wouldn't mind. And yeah, we'll talk about more Spider-Man in the near future. See you in the next one. Stay dead, my friends.
Only a few more seconds!